Welcome back to another episode where we break down the National Electrical Code, or NEC, in a way that makes sense, even if you're just getting started in the electrical field. In today's lesson, we're focusing on NEC 110.25, which covers something called lockable disconnecting means. Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds. We'll explain what it is, why it exists, and how it plays a big role in the electrical safety of the job. Let's get into it. Let's begin with the term disconnecting means. What does this mean? In plain English, a disconnected means is a switch, breaker, or a device that allows you to shut off power to a piece of electrical equipment. It's like a light switch, but for a much larger equipment. And instead of turning off a lamp, it could power off a motor, HVAC unit, machine, or an entire circuit. The main purpose is safety. If somebody needs to work on or repair the equipment, they should be able to shut off the power completely to avoid electrical shock, burns, or even electrocution. But here's the thing. It's not enough just to flip the switch. That's where NEC 110.25 comes in. Let's look at the language of NEC 110.25, simplified. Where a disconnecting means is required to be lockable open, it shall be capable of being locked in the open position without the use of a special tool or lock that requires removing parts of the equipment. What does that mean in plain terms? If a switch or breaker has to be lockable because of the type of equipment or the type of work being done, then it needs to have a built-in way to add a lock to it. Here are the key takeaways. You must be able to lock it in the off position. You shouldn't need a special tool or have to take the cover off to attach the lock. The locking feature must be built in or designed to be added easily, like a padlock hole on the switch handle. This makes it possible to follow the lockout-tagout or LOTO safety procedure. You might be wondering, what's a lockout-tagout? Lockout-tagout or LOTO is a safety procedure used to make sure equipment stays off while somebody is working on it. Let's say you're working on a motor and the disconnect switch is turned off, but somebody else walks by, flips it back on, and now you're dealing with live electricity while your hands are in the wiring. That's a serious hazard. So to prevent that, electricians or maintenance workers will turn off the power, place a padlock on the switch to lock it in the off position, add a tag out that says "Do not energize person working." That way, nobody can accidentally or intentionally turn the equipment back on until the worker is done and removes the lock themselves. NEC 110.25 ensures the electrical code matches the safety practice by requiring that disconnecting means be lockable where needed. NEC 110.25 was introduced because of a critical need to protect workers. In many older electrical systems, disconnects didn't have any way to be locked. That created major safety risk, especially in industrial and commercial settings where multiple tradespeople might be working on the same system. Over the years, workplace accidents, including electrical shocks, burns, or even fatalities, have occurred because somebody accidentally turned on equipment back on while it was being serviced. This code was added to prevent those situations. It supports and reinforces OSHA regulations around lockout tagout and helps ensure that electrical equipment is safe to work on once it has been de-energized. Now let's talk about where this rule applies. NEC 110.25 doesn't say every disconnect must be lockable, but it does say that if the code requires a lockable disconnect, then it must meet certain criteria. You will find lockable disconnects commonly required in commercial and industrial buildings, HVAC systems, motors, elevators, generators, lighting controls for public spaces. Also, some manufacturers design circuit breakers and safety switches with built-in locking features, such as holes in the handle for padlocks or clip-on lockout devices. As a student or apprentice, it is important that you recognize which disconnects are required to be lockable, understand how to use lockout-tagout procedures, make sure the equipment you install meets code and safety standards. Here are some practical tips to keep in mind. Look for disconnects with lockable handles. Many safety switches and breakers now come ready for padlocks. Know your Lotto gear. Get familiar with padlocks, tags, and lockout hasps. Check the equipment instructions. The manufacturer often states if the disconnect is lockable and how to do it. Don't overlook safety. Just because something can be turned off doesn't mean it's safe until it's locked. And remember, it's not just about following the code, it's about protecting lives, including your own. And that wraps up our breakdown of NEC 110.25, Lockable Disconnecting Means. To summarize, disconnecting means lets you safely shut off electrical equipment. When required, they must be lockable in open or off position. This supports logout-tagout procedures that protect people working on the electrical systems. This rule was created to prevent accidents and injuries by making sure equipment stays off when somebody is working on it. As you train and grow in the field, always remember, good electrical work isn't just about making things function, it's about keeping people safe. Thanks for listening.